when it comes to the employee, what are some of the tactics or tips that you can share to help them manage stress in the workplace?
Um, One of the things that I think is the most important is to talk to yourself in healthy and rational ways,
Mm,
because you don't lose sleep and you don't feel like you're not doing enough unless your self-talk is very negative and critical. And so be aware of the self-talk. Write down your thoughts. Is your thoughts, oh, I'm losing sleep because I feel like I'm not good enough? Okay. Is that
mm,
rational or is it irrational? Who's saying that? Who's the board of directors in your head? So
mm.
we need to analyze our self-talk, because nobody really stresses you out. The workplace can't stress you out. I actually, in my seminar, actually these webinars that I do and any live presentation, I would often ask people to fill in the blank. Stress is blank. And people would often say, overwhelming, debilitating, whatever, bad stuff.
Mhm.
But stress is actually the spice of life. We need stress to thrive. We need stress to be motivated. I want more in my life. I want more stress. I want to be challenged. I want to be invigorated. So stress is not inherently bad. But if we think stress is bad for us, if we have that negative spin, then we're going to feel more stressed out. The other thing is what's in my control and what's out of my control, and think in healthy ways. So if you say, my boss stresses me out, guess what? That's impossible. Nobody can stress you out. I don't like some of the things my boss does, and these are being specific, but no
Mhm.
one is in charge of your stress. So, how would you rephrase that? I am stressed out by some of the things that my boss says or does. Then you are not a victim, you're a victor. You're not the
Mm.
victim of someone else. So just even teasing out who's responsible for my feelings. She makes me so mad. Well, guess what? Nobody, I mean, we're not talking about abuse here. We're not talking about a criminal behavior. We're talking
Yeah.
about workplace or just general adult behavior. No one can do that. No one can make you mad. I am mad in response to what he or she did. Just even doing that will give you the good stress and not the bad stress, because stress can be good. Just think of a guitar. If you tighten the key too much, the string is going to snap. But if you don't tighten it up and enough, you're going to have droning music. To have
Mm.
beautiful music, you have to have just the right amount of stress to feel involved, challenged, committed, but not too much that you're burnt out, and not too little that you're alienated and you feel like you're not needed or good at what you do.
That's very well said. And I think you're right, actually. Stress gets sort of a negative connotation, especially when it comes to the workplace. But you're like, our brains literally thrive on and wake up on like cortisol, which is stress. So I think what's in the workplace from my experience, and I do marketing at a software company, and manage some people. And I think that for me and what I see with my employees and the people on my team is it's people take on too much, don't set realistic expectations,
Right.
and those need to come from the people that are doing the work, not from the people that are passing on the work. Because
Absolutely.
they all
Need
they've
to know
got to
your
do is
limits.
exactly all they've got to
You
do is
to
say
say I need
something.
help, or it's
Yeah.
too much, or I don't think I can do this in the amount of time that you want. You need to set limits. But so many times people are afraid, they're more non-assertive.
Hmm.
Communication is very important in the workplace. I statements. I don't feel comfortable with the expectations of this project because I don't think I can realistically do this in time.
Mm.
But a lot of
Yeah.
people are afraid of doing that. They'll say, okay, and then they're going to be stressed and upset because they don't want to cause waves. They don't want someone not to like them. They don't want to get fired. And then they can start having this
The
crazy
spiral.
talk in their head.
Yeah. You're so right. I had I wrote a so I went through a public divorce and it like ruined my life for a little bit and my mental health, obviously. And I started writing in a journal that I ended up like writing a guided journal for myself. And it was every day, it was addressing these feelings, why I'm feeling this way. and like reframing them. And I know you have tons of free resources, which I want to talk about on
Mhm.
your website, that help with some of these things for
Yes.
people.
Uh-huh.
But what I notice from me and what I sometimes see with others is it's the spiral that gets them. It's not even the work. It's the, I also have this to do, and I also have this, and I'm also tired, and I also, there's all these other things. And then you create that spiral of, am I going to lose my job? And all of these other things that go into it. And in reality, like if you can kind of separate the feelings that you can control versus the stuff you can't, you really can hone in and be better at least understanding your stress, even if you're not behaving differently yet at this point. But I think that can come next.
Well, in all my books, my focus has been in providing tools and how to handle stress. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I got to get a grip. How do you get a grip?
Mm.
People don't know. It's like skills that we don't really learn.
Tell
And
myself
so,
that.
for example, in the example that you just talked about, going through a very difficult situation, focus on improving your self-talk to avoid cognitive distortions.
Mm.
Cognitive distortions are unhealthy habits of thinking that will cause us to be in a spiral. So, what are some distortions? One of them can be all or nothing thinking. I'll never get over this. Why is that irrational? The word never. How do you know? That also
Mm.
is another cognitive distortion in that fortune telling. A lot of times people fortune tell. I'll never get it together. He'll never change. When you fortune tell and you blow things out of proportion, when you personalize or jump to conclusions, oh, he didn't say anything. He didn't say good morning to me. He must be mad at me.
Oh
There's
my
a
God, I
lot
do
of
that.
patterns of what's called cognitive distortions. And by identifying the distortions and examining where is the evidence? Where's the evidence that he's mad at me? And if that were true, what would that mean? And that is an example of getting to a core belief. When we have a
Mm.
lot of irrational thoughts, they stem from irrational core belief. So, for example, jumping to conclusions. He didn't talk to me. He must be mad at me. If so, what would that mean? It would mean that I'm not likable.
Mm.
Okay. If that was true, what would that mean? It would mean that I'm worthless or I'm not important. And so by identifying your core beliefs, you can kind of tackle more all the offshoots of all that because you identify some of your core beliefs. But people don't know how to do that.
No.
That's why I have the books that I do that evolved over the years, um, to because that turned into what I became very passionate about.
Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.